during that '04 season, you're able to be part of the AllStar game. So what kind of experience was that like for you?
Insanity. That was nuts. That if you look at that roster, I mean, I think the starting outfielder was Sosa, Bonds. I think it was three Hall of Famers or three potential Hall of Famers at the time. I can't remember who is it?
No, I said should be.
He said should be.
Oh, yeah. You know, so that, I mean, you had Pua. Yeah. I mean, you can go on and on about both sides. And so walking into that clubhouse was just like, whoa, this is real. I knew I was having a good year and I knew there was a good chance of making it, but only till you walk in and you see those guys and you start talking to them and kind of just experiencing the All-Star game in a whole. No, it was such a surreal experience. It was so much fun, and I'm glad I got to part of it. My family was a part of it, and you know, it was an amazing feeling, amazing weekend to be there.
I just looked it up.
Ken Griffey Jr. was
that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
just Griffey. yeah. And then on the other side, you had all the Yankees. I think the entire Yankee infield was starting that game because I think it was Giambi, Soriano, Jeter, and A-Rod. I think were the entire infield. Maybe Posada.
It was, but Soriano was on the Rangers at the time.
Oh, so was it who's the second baseman?
No, Soriano. It was Soriano, but he was with the Rangers.
He was on the Rangers.
Okay. Yeah. And then it was also too because you had Roger Clemens starting the game and Mike Piazza catching the game after their interaction a couple years earlier with the Yankees Mets World Series. So that was also a story that we were looking at, like, how are these guys going to interact?
I mean, I'm looking at the outfield for the National League, but the American League too. You got Vlad Guerrero, Manny Ramirez, and Ichiro Suzuki. I mean, that game was nuts.
It was nuts, dude. And honestly, I'd looking around and be like, what am I doing here? This is cool. I felt like I entered myself in a video game and like just pressed edit and wrote my name down and threw myself in the National League lineup. I was like, this is great.
Was there anything about that weekend that you weren't expecting that happened or anything like that?
Yes. And it has nothing to do with baseball. I realized that, okay, I'm in Pittsburgh and we don't get a lot of love. And, you know, it is what it is. We hadn't done much in the time, but the superstars, they got their, you know, ESPN or whatever coverage, they're doing their interviews and stuff. And I realized that if you're on the bottom of the totem pole, which I was pretty much at the bottom of that list, that you get the 5:45 a.m. interview to do all your. So I literally did like 2 hours of interviews at like 5:30 in the morning. I think it was like, remember, what was it? Cold Pizza. Remember that show on ESPN?
Yeah.
That bad boy at 5:45 in the morning. And I look up and I realized that Ken Griffey Jr. is at 2:00 in the afternoon. I was like, all right, so I got to hit more homers so I can get to 2 o'clock. So I get it. But no, the really cool thing about that, when I tell people, is just hanging out with Barry Larkin. That was his last year. Jack McKeon was the manager of that team. And it was me, Barry, and Edgar Renteria were the three shortstops. And Barry, being Barry, went up to Jack McKeon and said, hey, I'll do a pinch hit or what, but the Pittsburgh kid needs to get the playing time. He's deserved it. Like, let's get him out there and play the second half of the game. Instead of him going out there and like being able to tip his hat because it was his last All-Star game, he went out there and, you know, because we spent a lot of time together and obviously in the Central with Cincinnati, I played a lot against it, like a lot of games against him. And I love the guy, admire the guy, and look up to him. Unbelievable. But that type of person he was. He's like, listen, I'll do a pinch hit, and, you know, I definitely want to be a part of it, but let the kid play. It's his first All-Star game. I was just like, Barry Larkin. He's the man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So didn't know much. This is my extension. So I went to Pirate Fest, my first Pirate Fest in year 2000. It was January, and I showed up in a t-shirt and shorts. So that's how much I knew about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And completely shocked to find out how it was freezing and snowing, walking out of the plane going, well, I'm an idiot. So really didn't have much. I did not even know who Bill Mazeroski was. And I met him in spring training for the first time. And that was the same year that he got inducted in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, what'd he do? Obviously, he was pretty good. What'd he do? He's like, 9 Gold Gloves. He also hit the biggest homer ever in postseason history. I'm like, that's pretty good. All right, awesome. Nice to meet you, Mr. So